The apartment is too quiet. It's been 3 years since the divorce was finalized, and I still catch myself setting 2 plates for dinner. Still buy his favorite cereal out of habit. Still wake up at 3 a.m. reaching for someone who isn't there. My name is Rachel, and I'm 35 now. 3 years ago, I lost my husband, my home, my entire life because of lies I told when I was 20. Lies I convinced myself didn't matter. Lies that seemed so small compared to the love we built. I was wrong. About everything. Let me take you back to where it all started, or rather, where it all ended. December 15th, 3 years ago. My husband David's company Christmas party. I'd spent hours getting ready, wearing the red dress he loved, excited to celebrate another year of his success at the accounting firm. Just that morning, we'd been in the would-be nursery, David on a ladder painting the walls a soft yellow. "Gender neutral," he'd said, grinning down at me, "for our little surprise." He'd gotten paint on his nose, and I'd stood on tiptoes to kiss it off. We'd laughed, talked about names, dreamed about first steps and bedtime stories. In 12 hours, all those dreams would be ash. We'd been so happy. 10 years of marriage, 12 years together total. We were finally trying for a baby. I'd been taking prenatal vitamins, tracking my cycle, decorating what would be the nursery. Life was perfect. Then David's new supervisor walked up to our table. "Honey, I want you to meet Brad. He's my new supervisor." I looked up and time stopped. Brad Morrison, the man I'd spent 2 years hooking up with when I was 19, the man I'd lied about, the man I was still seeing for the first 2 months David and I dated. Brad's eyes lit up with recognition and something else. Triumph, maybe. He pulled me out of my chair into a hug that lasted too long, his hand sliding too low on my back. I could feel David tense beside me. "Rachel, God, how long has it been?" Brad's voice was already slurred from drinking. "This is wild! Your husband works for me!" My stomach dropped through the floor. Brad Morrison, the man who'd introduced me to things I'd spent years pretending I'd never done. The man who'd taken videos I prayed were deleted. The man who knew exactly who I used to be. "Brad," I managed, my voice strangled. "It's been a while." David stood to shake his hand, ever the professional. "So you two know each other from—" "College," Brad said, his grin widening. "Oh man, your wife and I go way back, way back." He winked at me and I wanted to die. The worst part was David's new coworkers gathering around, drawn by Brad's booming voice. Jennifer from accounting, Mike from IT, people David had to see every single day. "Rach was legendary back then," Brad continued, settling into his chair with another whiskey. "This one time, spring break junior year—" "I'm sure no one wants to hear old college stories," I interrupted, my laugh high and fake. "Are you kidding? I love college stories." Jennifer leaned in, eager for gossip. "Were you two?" "Oh yeah," Brad nodded, missing my desperate headshake. "Friends with benefits before it was even a thing. Very, very friendly benefits." David's hand found mine under the table, squeezing so hard it hurt. His jaw was clenched, that little muscle ticking, a sign he was holding back anger. "Honey," I whispered, "maybe we should, remember that lake party?" Brad was on a roll now, playing to his audience. 4th of July? Must have been, 2012? That was the night you earned your nickname. My blood turned to ice. "No, not that. Anything but that." "Nickname?" Mike asked, grinning. "Yeah, we called her—" "I need some air," I announced, standing so fast I knocked over my wineglass. Red liquid spread across the white tablecloth like blood. An omen. The next hour was torture. Brad wouldn't shut up. Started with innocent stories about mutual friends, but with each drink, the stories got more specific, more intimate. "Remember that time at the lake? Man, that was a night." He laughed, looking right at David, skinny dipping under the stars. "Your wife was quite the free spirit back then." David's knuckles were white around his whiskey glass. "And afterwards, on the hood of my car," Brad continued, lost in the memory, or maybe just enjoying the damage he was causing. Had to keep each other warm somehow, right, Rachel? The table went silent. David's face had drained of color. I stood abruptly, mumbling something about needing air, and fled to the parking lot. But Brad followed me. Of course he did. Rachel, wait up! He caught my arm in the parking lot, spinning me around. What's wrong? Just having some fun in there. Fun? I hissed. You're destroying my marriage for fun? He laughed, breath reeking of whiskey. Come on, it's funny. Mr. Straight-laced in there married to Triple X Rachel. Does he even know about Vegas? Shut up! My hands were shaking. Just shut up about all of it. Does he know about the videos? Brad's eyes gleamed with malice. I still have some, you know. That one from my apartment, You said you deleted those. I lied, he shrugged. Like you're lying to him. Bet you told him you were practically a virgin, right? Good little church girl? I couldn't breathe. Videos. He had videos. What do you want? Nothing. Just enjoying the show. Though, he stepped closer, and I could smell his cologne. The same one he wore in college. It made me nauseous. If you wanted to relive old times, keep me from getting too chatty. Go to hell. Been there. You gave me the tour, remember? Multiple times in one night, if I recall correctly. His eyes narrowed. You always thought you were too good for me, even back then. Had to go find your perfect little Christian boy after you got tired of slumming it. How's that working out? The truth in his words stung. I had thought I was better than him, even while letting him do whatever he wanted to me. I'd looked down on him even as I begged for more. The hypocrisy of it made me sick. David appeared in the doorway then, his face like stone. We're leaving. The drive home was silent except for my hammering heartbeat. I tried 3 times to speak, but David held up his hand each time. At home, he went straight to his computer. Wouldn't look at me, wouldn't speak. David, please, that was so long ago. Triple X Rachel? His voice was quiet, eerily calm, like the eye of a hurricane. Want to explain that nickname? My face burned. The nickname I'd earned after a particularly wild night involving 3 different guys. Brad had thought it was hilarious. I'd been too drunk and high to care at the time. It was stupid. College kids being stupid. Was he one of the 3? David's fingers were white on the desk edge, still that terrible calm voice. The 3. I'd told David I'd only been with 3 men before him. A nice, respectable number for a girl from our conservative Baptist community. A lie that seemed harmless at 20 when I was desperate to be the kind of girl a man like David would marry. No, I whispered. That's when he exploded. Not physically. David would never. But emotionally. The dam broke. How many, Rachel? How many were there really? I should have kept lying. Should have said 4, maybe 5. But Brad's threats about videos had me panicked. What if David saw them? What if Brad sent them? Better to control the narrative. 13! Even that was a lie. The real number was closer to 25, maybe 30. I'd stopped counting during my wild phase from 18 to 21, but 13 seemed manageable, not too shocking. I was wrong. David looked at me like I was a stranger. 13, you told me 3. For 12 years you told me 3. It doesn't matter. It matters because you lied. He slammed his hand on the desk. What else have you lied about? Were you even a virgin when we met? Another lie. I'd told him he was my first because that's what good Christian boys wanted to hear. Because I knew he'd waited for marriage and felt guilty that we hadn't. Because I wanted to be special to him. David, answer me, were you a virgin? You have to understand, I wanted to be good enough for you. So no, you weren't. He laughed, but it sounded like breaking glass. God, what else? What other lies am I going to find out? My phone buzzed. A text from Brad. Fun party, let's catch up soon. I have some old photos you might want. David saw my face change. Give me your phone. David, no. Give me your phone. I'd never heard him yell like that. I handed it over with trembling fingers. He read the text and something died in his eyes. "Old photos," he said quietly. "What kind of photos, Rachel?" "Please?" "What kind of photos?" "I was young, I was drunk, I didn't know he was—" "Get out, I need space, get out." But I didn't get out. I couldn't. This was my home, my life. I stayed, fighting for my marriage, fighting dirty, as it turned out. Over the next days, Brad began his campaign of destruction. He'd text David accidentally. Old photos from parties where I was clearly wasted draped over various men. Nothing explicit, but enough to paint a picture of who I used to be. Then came the stories at work. Brad would joke during meetings about wild college days, always with a meaningful look at David. He'd make comments about how some people really change after marriage, and how you never really know someone's past. David started calling in sick. When he did go to work, he'd come home looking haunted. "They all know," he said one night. "Everyone at work knows I'm married to the office slut's leftovers." "Don't call me that." "That's what Brad calls you. Says you earned it. Says there's proof." The proof came 2 weeks later. David had been drinking, something he rarely did. His laptop was open, and I could see Brad's Facebook page. My blood ran cold. "He sent you something." David turned the laptop toward me. There I was, 19 years old, in a video I'd forgotten existed. Doing things I'd sworn to David I'd never done, never enjoyed, would never want to do. "You told me oral sex was degrading," David said, his voice eerily calm. "You made me feel like a pervert for wanting it. For 10 years you made me feel like a pervert." "I changed. I'm not that girl anymore." "But you were her, you did those things, just not with me." He closed the laptop. "You gave them everything and gave me the leftovers. The cleaned-up, sanitized version, the good wife performance." "It wasn't a performance, I love you." "You settled for me." His voice was so quiet. "I was the safe choice, the good provider, the one you could bring home to your parents after you were done having fun with guys like Brad." He wasn't wrong. God help me, he wasn't wrong. I'd met David when I was 22, fresh out of my experimental phase. I was tired of guys like Brad. Selfish, unreliable, only interested in one thing. David was different, stable, kind, marriage material. He looked at me like I was precious, not just available. So I reinvented myself, became the girl I thought he wanted. Conservative, innocent, selective. I buried the party girl who'd done body shots at frat houses and hooked up in bar bathrooms. I threw away my provocative clothes and bought cardigans. I deleted social media photos that didn't fit the narrative. And it worked. David fell in love with the character I created. The problem with playing a character is that eventually the mask slips. After Brad's revelation, David became obsessed with uncovering the truth. He'd found Brad on social media, and Brad, being the asshole he was happy to share details. Explicit details. Photos I didn't even remember being taken. Stories about things I'd done that made David physically ill. The worst night was when David found out about Vegas. "A bachelorette party," he said, holding his phone. "That's what you told me. Your cousin's bachelorette party." I knew what was coming. My hands were shaking. "But Brad says there was no cousin, no bachelorette, just you and some girlfriends going to Vegas to, and I quote, fuck their way through the weekend." David. He has pictures, Rachel, you and 3 men, at the same time, in a hotel room. I wanted to die. That weekend was supposed to be buried forever. What happened in Vegas was supposed to stay in Vegas. The memories flooded back unbidden. The penthouse suite at the Cosmopolitan. Mirrors on every wall and ceiling. 3 men whose names I never knew. A tiara on my head that said, bride-to-be. Ironic since I wasn't even engaged. The champagne bottle we never opened because we were too busy with other things. I'd spent the entire weekend wearing nothing but that tiara and a drunken smile. That girl in those photos, screaming in ecstasy, bore no resemblance to the woman who told David she thought oral sex was degrading. And this, he continued, scrolling, was 2 weeks before you met me. 2 weeks before you played the innocent church girl who'd barely been kissed. I wanted to forget that life. I wanted to be better. By lying, by pretending, by making me wait months to sleep with you because you wanted to do things right with someone special? He threw his phone across the room. I wasn't special. I was just the idiot who bought the act. That night, he moved to the couch. I found him there at 3 a.m., not crying like I'd said, but worse, investigating. His laptop glowed in the dark living room as he scrolled through old Facebook photos, reverse image searching, digging through digital graves I thought I'd buried. College acquaintances tagged photos from 2012. An old Tumblr account I'd forgotten existed. Spring break albums that made his face go gray. David? I whispered. He didn't look up. Found your old Twitter, the one you said you never had. His voice was hollow. You tweeted about our first date, about how the church boy was cute but you missed getting properly fucked. My blood turned to ice. I'd forgotten about that account, made during my party days when I documented every drunk thought. I loved you, he whispered to the screen. I loved who I thought you were. But she never existed, did she? You created her to trap me. That's not true. Name one thing you told me about your past that was true. One thing. I couldn't. Every story had been sanitized, edited, or completely fabricated. The virgin lie. The only 3 men lie. The I don't like oral sex lie. The I've never done anal lie. The I think porn is disgusting lie. Hundreds of little lies building the perfect Christian wife facade. I became who you wanted. I wanted you. He sat up, eyes red. The real you. But you decided I wasn't good enough for her. Only the fake version. The actress. The fraud. The breaking point came when Brad escalated. He started messaging me directly, suggesting we meet up for old time's sake. When I refused, he got nasty, threatened to show David more videos, the really bad ones. I panicked and did something stupid. I went to HR to file a complaint. But Brad was ready. He showed them our old text messages, explicit ones I'd sent him years ago. Made it look like I was a bitter ex trying to ruin his career. She's clearly still obsessed, Brad told HR, playing the victim. These messages show she was always the pursuer. Now that she's married, she probably regrets her wild past. But that's not my fault. HR called David in to mediate. Brad had played them perfectly, claimed I was creating a hostile work environment by showing up at the office, that David needed to control his wife. To prove his point about our consensual adult relationship, they showed David the messages, all of them. David had to sit there in front of HR and read messages from his wife to another man. Messages describing things I'd never even hinted at wanting with him. Messages that made it clear just how enthusiastic I'd been with Brad. He came home that night looking broken. They think I'm pathetic. The whole office knows my wife used to beg her boss for things I can't even say out loud. They know you did everything with him that you've refused to do with me for 10 years. I'll do them now, whatever you want. Now? He laughed bitterly. After 10 years of making me feel like a pervert for asking, after I had to find out from your ex-fuck buddy that you used to love doing those exact things, now you're willing? Yes, to save our marriage. Our marriage is dead, Rachel. You killed it with every lie. The weekend before he served me divorce papers, I snapped. He'd been avoiding me for 2 months, sleeping on the couch, calling in sick to work rather than face Brad. I couldn't take it anymore. Saturday morning I found him at his computer, staring at nothing. He'd been doing this all weekend, just sitting there catatonic. I tried talking, begging, crying. Nothing worked. By Sunday afternoon, I lost it. It's been 2 months, I screamed. 2 months since that party. You need to get over this and move on. He didn't even look at me. I confronted him at his computer, unplugged it when he tried to ignore me. When he stood to leave, I pushed him back into the chair. "You're going to talk to me." "I can't look at you anymore." His voice was dead. When he said that, something in me snapped. All the shame, the humiliation, the frustration boiled over. I slapped him, hard, left a red handprint on his cheek. I'd never hit anyone in my life, but I was desperate, humiliated, watching my life crumble because of choices I'd made over a decade ago. David's reaction was instant. He grabbed my shirt, lifted me off the ground with strength I didn't know he had. His eyes were cold, empty. "Hit me again," he said quietly, "and I'll hit back. I don't care that you're a woman." He set me down and walked out. I found his note the next morning. He was staying at a hotel, needed time to think, and I should consider finding someone else to have children with since he couldn't go through with our plans. That's when I did the stupidest thing possible. I went to David's office to confront Brad. I marched past security, past Brad's secretary, straight into his office. "You destroyed my marriage!" Brad leaned back in his chair, smirking. "I didn't destroy anything, baby, just told the truth. Not my fault you've been lying to the poor guy for years." He didn't need to know. Oh. Didn't need to know his wife was the biggest slut on campus? Brad laughed. "Come on, Rach, remember that weekend in Vegas? The things you did for that VIP table? And you're playing housewife with this loser? Don't call him that." "Why? It's what he is. Dating you for 2 months while you were still coming to my place? Taking my loads while telling him you wanted to wait?" Brad stood, moving closer. "Does he know you were with me the night before your first date with him? That you had my cum inside you when you kissed him goodnight?" I slapped him too. But Brad just laughed. "Still feisty. That's what I always loved about you." He grabbed my wrist. "You know, offers still open. Divorce the loser. Come back to someone who knows what you really need." "I'd rather die." "You said that before too. Changed your mind pretty quick once I got you alone." I yanked free and ran out, but the damage was done. As I left, I heard the catcalls from David's coworkers. "Come to give Brad another ride? How much for an hour? Does your husband know about the train you pulled junior year? I heard she did the whole football team. Brad says she's still available if the price is right." I ran to my car, sobbing. This was what David dealt with every day. These people, these comments, this humiliation. David called that night, voice dead. "You went to my work, to see him." I was trying to help. "Everyone thinks you're fucking him, my boss, in the middle of the day, at my job." He laughed, but it sounded like crying. "They're taking bets on whether you're charging now or giving it away for free like college." "David, I'm sorry." "Brad played audio, Rachel. Audio from one of your sessions. Played it in the break room. Everyone heard you begging for the things, saying my name would never satisfy you like he did." I didn't remember saying that. I didn't remember Brad recording. But I was usually drunk or high during our hookups, so who knew what evidence he had? "I'll send you the lawyer's information," David continued. "Don't contact me again." "David, please, I love you. You love the security I provided, the image of being a good Christian wife. You never loved me. If you had, you would have trusted me with the truth." He hung up. That was the last time I heard his voice. The divorce was quick. We had no kids, and David wanted nothing except his freedom. He gave me the house. I couldn't afford it and had to sell within 6 months. He took nothing that reminded him of me. 10 years of photos, gifts, memories, he left it all. I kept tabs on him through mutual friends. He transferred to a different branch, away from Brad, started over in a new city. I heard he was dating someone, a kindergarten teacher, young, very religious. The kind of girl I'd pretended to be. Brad got fired 8 months later for sexual harassment. Poetic justice, I guess. But it didn't bring David back. The truth about my past kept surfacing even after the divorce. My parents found out when Brad drunkenly messaged my father on Facebook, sending him old photos from college. My conservative Baptist parents, who thought their daughter had saved herself for marriage, suddenly saw evidence of their little girl doing things that made them cut contact for a year. My sister confronted me at Thanksgiving. "I looked up to you," she said. "You preached to me about purity, about waiting, about being a good Christian woman, and it was all lies?" "I changed." "You didn't change. You hid. There's a difference." She was right. I hadn't transformed from party girl to good wife. I'd just buried one persona and created another. Neither was fully me. I was a fractured person, pieces of identities that didn't fit together. Now I live in this one-bedroom apartment, working as a receptionist at a dental office. 35, divorced and ruined for relationships. I tried dating, but I can't figure out who to be. The wild girl Brad remembered? The conservative woman David thought he married? I'm neither and both, a patchwork of lies that no longer fit together. I matched with someone on a dating app last month. Nice guy, stable job, churchgoer. On our second date, he asked about my past relationships. "Just be honest," I told myself. So I was. Told him I'd been married, divorced, had a colorful past before that. He pressed for details. I gave him a sanitized version, more honest than what I'd told David, less honest than the full truth. He seemed okay with it until someone at his gym mentioned they'd gone to college with me. Suddenly he had questions, specific questions, about specific weekends and specific men. "I'm not that person anymore," I insisted. "But you were," he said, "and you tried to hide it. Again." He was right. Even trying to be honest, I was still lying by omission. Still trying to control the narrative, still ashamed of who I'd been. David remarried last year. My mom accidentally let it slip at Christmas. His new wife is 24, a lovely girl from a good family. Pure, I'm sure. Honest about her past, all 2 or 3 ex-boyfriends of it. Everything I pretended to be. A virgin until marriage, just like David had wanted to be. They waited, did things right. They're expecting their first child. The baby we were supposed to have. The nursery I'd started decorating is now hers to fill. I saw them once at the grocery store. She's pretty in that wholesome way. Long hair, modest dress, no makeup. The anti-me. Or rather, the anti-real me. She looks like the character I played for 10 years. David saw me. For a moment, our eyes met across the cereal aisle. He looked through me like I was a stranger. Then he put his hand on his wife's pregnant belly, guiding her away. That's when it hit me. I wasn't just divorced. I was erased. Deleted from his life so thoroughly it was like our 12 years together never happened. Our wedding photos burned. Our friends chose him. Our life dismantled and rebuilt with someone who deserved it. Some nights, I dream about doing it differently. About that first conversation when David asked about my past. In the dream, I tell him everything. Every man, every wild night, every stupid decision. And dream David accepts me anyway, loves me for my honesty, marries the real me instead of the fiction. But that's fantasy. The real David wanted a pure wife, a godly woman, someone who shared his values. I wanted to be chosen by someone good, so I pretended to be what he needed. We both lost. 3 years later, I'm still paying for those lies. Still alone in this apartment. Still watching the life I threw away move forward without me. David has his honest wife, his coming baby, his fresh start. Brad has a sexual harassment record and a drinking problem, but he was always going to end up there. And me? I have the truth, finally. The truth that I'm neither the wild party girl nor the perfect Christian wife. I'm just another lonely woman approaching 40, living with the consequences of thinking I could outrun my past by burying it in lies. They say the truth sets you free. They're right. It sets you free from everyone who would have loved you if you'd just been honest from the start. I had a good man who loved a fiction. Now I'm just another cautionary tale. A warning whispered at church socials. Remember David's first wife? The one who lied about everything? I heard she... The whispers are probably worse than the truth. But then again, the truth was bad enough to destroy everything I'd built. Some lies we tell for a moment. Some we pay for forever. And some leave us exactly where we deserve to be, alone, watching through windows at the life we forfeited, knowing we have no one to blame but ourselves. The apartment is too quiet. It's been 3 years since the divorce was finalized, and I still catch myself setting 2 plates for dinner. Still buy his favorite cereal out of habit. Still wake up at 3 a.m. reaching for someone who isn't there. Only now I know exactly why he's gone.